Welcome to WannaWeeb. I'm your host, Pina, and I'm blessed today with my other two co-hosts.
Hi, I'm Echo.
I'm Lace.
And today we have a very special episode. It's going to be a little bit different than what our normal stuff is, and we're trying new things too. Each of us have individually chosen one villain that speaks volumes to us. Whether we think they are justified, whether we think they are good, chaotic neutral, that's for either us to decide or you decide. That's the great thing about this. We all have opinions. We'd love to hear yours in the comments down below.
For my villain, I'm actually picking someone that I don't even consider a villain, but other people do, so your opinion, we'll say, matters in my... It's Lelouch from Code Geass.
To nobody's surprise, Vegeta, Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah!
What? No way! Rowan! Do you believe that it's Vegeta? You mean this little dude?
This guy and that guy over there.
Well, Rowan totally agrees. Excellent choice. So let's go ahead and dive into that.
My beautiful villain, who is justified, I don't care what anyone says, is Lelouch from Code Geass. And anyone who has not seen Code Geass or has lived under a rock, I will have to say I'm sorry. Lace. You will have to watch it because it is one of the best ones, and it's basically all about his villain arc story, where, in my opinion, was a hero story. It goes off with the main character, Lelouch, who is one of many prince and princesses. He's a prince from this huge holy empire, the Britannians, and he was an outcast. Him and his sister and their mom, which was one of the queens and empresses, one of the last ones. They were outcasts. I think they said for their protection. Not 100% true. And in which case, the only reason he has become the villain of this story, of this whole anime, is because his mom was murdered right in front of his little sister. His poor sister became handicapped and blind after that incident, and he wanted revenge. And the revenge is upon his family because he was told that someone hired an assassin to kill him, his sister, and his mom from within the family. We fast forward from this time period because he's about 8 years old, and we jump into the Holy Britannian's fancy high school. This is kind of like a futuristic world where they have Gundams, but they call them mechabots and all that. He is an ordinary student. He's really smart. He's a genius. His sister's there, Nanali, who is in a wheelchair. She is part of the club that he's in, and one day he saves a girl with bright green hair who is a witch, and she gave him the power of kind of obedience in one of his eyes. He can command anyone to do something, but only once. So if he had told you, for example, to jump off a cliff, you can only jump off the cliff once. It could be a small cliff, big cliff, you gotta be specific. And when he gained that power, that witch is helping him, and he decides to use that power to go ahead and take control of his life, meaning he's gonna find out who killed his mom, who basically handicapped his sister, because that's his main goal, making sure he developed a peaceful world for his sister to live in, which is justification for me. He's really wanting to go ahead and just make it so she is always being taken care of, there's no danger. And this is kind of like a weird world where we have the super rich and then the super poor. The super rich are, of course, doing great. They don't really care about what's going on with the poor. The poor is trying to catch up with the rich and being like, yo, we're still here. You can't just get rid of us. We need to go ahead and make equal. No one's budging. Lelouch takes advantage of the fact that the lower society is trying to move up, and so he gives them power by giving him access to stations, to military, to weapons, to mech machines, because he has that obedience power. And he develops a small team from that lower society called the Black Knights. He's basically a genius. He's very strategist. He is able to manipulate people really well. And because he's good at, they always say he's good at chess. He's really good at methods and getting victories, and that makes him a threat to Britannian, which technically at the end of the day is his dad, who is the emperor. He's a villain in the story because he really doesn't mind taking a life if he has to, but it gets a little difficult when he is faced up to an enemy that was his best friend when he was a kid. Suzaku. So it's getting to a point where he has to choose between the life he wants for his sister and also protecting his friendships. But he's able to eventually mash them together because Suzaku finds out that Lelouch is this evil mastermind named Zero, who is the leader of the Black Knights. And I feel like I'm gonna give so many spoilers away. But
honestly, you're doing a great job not giving spoilers
I'm trying
away.
not
because,
to.
like, you haven't even mentioned the fact that the whole world is like empire that his family owns.
He said it, not me. As much as he's trying to make this world a better place for Nonali, he is very selfish too, because he has his own motives and his own like righteous mindset on how the world should be run. And he does kill off siblings, like half siblings that are the other prince and princesses. Really doesn't take much opinion on other people's lives. We do have that story arc where we have like certain characters that come back and again, like those are his main team members. But he's doing a lot more winning than losing, and then other countries are joining on his side. But then it gets to a point where his secret identity as Zero is too much, that now he has way too much control, and it's no longer a Britannian versus the lower class. It's now Zero versus almost like everybody else. And in which case he has to decide whether it's keeping up with this dictator tyranny that he tried to get rid of with Britannian, which he did, to going back to his original thought is taking care of his sister, because his sister is the one that matters at the end. She's really pure-hearted. Again, she's blind, so she knows when you walk into your room by like scent alone or by sound. So when he walks in the room, she's like, oh, your footsteps are slower, you must be sad. Like, she knows him, and he never wants to look bad in her eyes. And then I guess this is technically a spoiler, somebody tells Nonali who Zero is, which is again Lelouch, and he makes her forget until the end of the whole anime, which Lace, I will not tell you, you will have to watch it because it is a beautiful spoiler. But how it ends is Lelouch's dream for Nonali comes true, and Suzaku is able to fulfill Lelouch's wishes and making sure the world is safe for Nonali, and there's no more tyranny, there is no more fighting, there's no more wars. It is actual peace, and it comes with a price, which gives me the full justification to say that Lelouch is a villain justified in what he does in this anime throughout. And Cece, the green hair witch, she's also justified in doing what she did to give Lelouch that power. And her also lovely, lovely personality of eating pizza in every fucking episode. Just wrapping that up, Code Geass with Lelouch as the main character of the whole thing. I know that he didn't do a lot of good when it comes to like taking lives and doing what he thought was justified. However, as the end result of the whole thing, developed a beautiful, peaceful world where everybody kind of got along, is why I'm saying his acts of violence and strategics and things that made you really cry while watching this anime was justified for the end result. And scene. Thank you.
So to talk about Vegeta, we have to start from very beginning. For those who don't know, Vegeta is a prince of all Saiyans. He will tell you that many, many times. Everyone needs to know that. And that's a very, very big point later on, so keep that in mind. Vegeta is one of the first villains in Dragon Ball Z, who also turns later on into kind of a good guy, but not really. So his character development is very complex, and he is one of the most complex character in Dragon Ball as it is. He has some growth and some setbacks, and we're going to dive into that to explain why I believe his villainous eras, not all of them, were justifiable. Particularly, I would like to talk about his time as Majin Vegeta. How we got there, what happened, why, how it ended. So, starting with one of his biggest flaws, which is obsession with power. Vegeta's life has been very difficult, and not a lot of people consider that when we think about him. So when he was little, he had a lot of pressure. He had to show that he was the strongest of the Saiyans because he was the prince. He was the one who was supposed to take over his father's legacy, his planet's legacy, and he had to be strong. Saiyans, as a default, are a race of fighters, so only the strongest one is respected. Because he was of the royal blood, he already had somewhat of a stronger power, at least in theory. Later on, we find out that not every single person who was royal is the strongest, and surprisingly, people who were at birth decided to be weaker are not. When Goku and Vegeta meet, and Vegeta loses to Saiyan, who is supposed to be the weaker one, his whole life just falls apart. He doesn't understand it. He's just like, how did this guy from the slums who was sent to the weakest planet is beating me? How is this possible? And his obsession becomes even stronger. And as we go through the story, one of the main pain points for Vegeta was to beat Goku. And he becomes so obsessed with that, so obsessed with beating Goku, that it's becoming his main source of will to live. He only wants to live to beat Goku, and it's super important to his growth as a character, but also some of his setbacks later on. As we develop later on in the story, Goku dies. And this was terrible for everyone in the story, but particularly for Vegeta, because he never got a chance to beat him. So now Vegeta is like, what am I gonna do with my life? I can't beat him. My whole life revolved around beating him up, right? Like, he only cared about that, nothing else. But with that, he kind of has to move on because Goku is no longer there. Like, you know, what else can he do? So the only thing that he has left is to keep getting stronger. But the thing is, he has that resentment in him. 7 years after Goku dies, he comes back to Earth for one day. And that day was super, super special because it was the day of the Tournament of Power. What a better way to show that Vegeta can beat Goku if it's not a tournament. Vegeta's light just bright shine. He's like, this is my time. I'll do it. I'll do anything to beat him up. But if it isn't a plot twist in Dragon Ball, I don't know what it is. They enter the tournament, and of course, Babidi shows up. Vegeta's plan once again ruined. So now, the 7 years that he was trying to move on, he had, a wife, a kid, he was trying to move on, he was still trying to be the strongest. It was his one-time chance to show that he can beat Goku because he trained so hard, and that was taken away from him by some little guy. And I think that was really, really bad for Vegeta because he didn't care about Earth being in danger. At that point, he was like a bull with a red flag in front of him, and the only thing that he could see was to beat Goku. He was right in front of him, and he didn't care about anything else. While they're fighting, while they're trying to get to Babidi, Vegeta is starting to think, there were these guys at the tournament, and I heard that they were super weak, but they were super strong. So how did they get so strong? And he's starting to connect the dots. These guys became strong because of Babidi, because they became Majin. And Babidi starts talking to Vegeta. He's like, in his brain, like, hey, I can make you strong. Okay? Like, you can be strong. You have to just come to my side and we're good, dude. We're all set. And Babidi picked Vegeta because he thought that mentally he was the weakest one of them all and he was the most evil. So Vegeta was an easy pick for Babidi, but what Babidi did not expect is that although Vegeta has a lot of flaws, he is so stubborn, like a freaking donkey. So what happened was that Vegeta became Majin. He became much stronger, and instead of turning on Babidi's side and being his little soldier like everyone else that became Majin, Vegeta was like, screw you, I have other shit to do. Goku, where are you? We're fighting now. So with that, Vegeta decided that he is going to fight Goku and forget about everything else. He also had to kind of kill a bunch of people, and I think that was to show that he is ruthless, and that was also the only way for Goku to accept the fight. I was like, hey, like if you don't fight me, I'll kill everyone here. Like we gotta go fight. So we are seeing kind of that battle in Vegeta's brain, and eventually, while Vegeta is seeing like, shit, like I think I went too far. This is not good. My desire to beat Goku actually put the people that I care in danger. So we see that Vegeta is starting to have a battle with himself. It's like, okay, I'm strong. Goku is still stronger than me. This is not fair, but what the hell did I just do? I killed a bunch of people. I put my son in danger. Everyone hates me now. This is not who I've been trying to be for the last 7 years. Like, I've been trying to be good. And then he realized that deep down, even though he's not a good person, he's not a bad person either. He's not the villain. So with that, he decides to redeem himself. And this is where I believe his actions were justifiable, because this is who he truly is. He's realizing like, okay, I may not be the nice guy who's going to help little grandma cross the street, but I'm also no longer the guy who is going to let everyone die because of my desires, because I want to be, show everyone that I'm the prince. Like, I'm the prince. I'm not the strongest, but it's okay because I have other things to live for now. So he has a little talk with Trunks, and even though it seemed on the screen that it was very cold, it was a kind of cold conversation. That was the sweetest he's ever been in my eyes. He was like, he might have said something else, but the way I remember it is like, Trunks, you're my son, I love you, I'm doing this for you. Essentially, he's trying to like blow himself up to help everyone and prevent Boo from being released. And that's where I think he couldn't have gotten to the point if he didn't become Majin. So his actions were justifiable, 1, for his character development, but 2, story plot, and 3, to really help with the villain, of the actual villain of the story. So to sum it all up, Vegeta's transformation to Majin was super important for the plot, but also for his growth, for the growth of everyone else, and also to show us that there is room for redemption no matter how bad you get. There's always a point of return. You're never so deep down that you cannot turn around and be like, you know what? I want to be a better person. And I think that was really important for me when I was watching it as a kid. It's okay to make mistakes no matter how great they are. You can redeem yourself. There's always a chance to become better. And just because you did something bad in the past doesn't mean that you have to continue being a bad person. And it's going to hurt your ego just like it hurt Vegeta. It was really hard for him to get, kind of get away from the obsession with power, from his bitterness, from, the resentment. It wasn't easy for him, but we see that he did that because he cared about people. And even though, he wasn't the best at showing it, that one action was one of the best kind of villain turn, kind of good, kind of villain again, to, damn, you know what? I understand. It might be a villain, but I understand. That's my being devil's advocate for Vegeta. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for watching. We hope you guys had a beautiful time. Please let us know if you thought those villains were justified or not. Please like and subscribe, and see you guys in the next one. Bye. Each one of us is... I got it.
If this is not an outtake
You got the
sequence.
stuttered out. It's like, it's a hard stutter.
This is amazing.
And that's all, folks.